Hello everyone! Welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day before starting the video. Please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. If you missed General Hospital today, Friday, May 30th, 2025, then you need to catch up with a recap of the episode below. The battle over the Corinthos kids is just about on, and Carly Spencer, Laura Wright, stopped by to see Curtis Asford, Donald Turner, at his office. She tells him that she is there to ask him to help Michael Corinthos, Rory Gibson, get custody of his kids. Curtis knows exactly how awful Drew Kane, Cameron Mathis, is, and Carly tells him that he and Willow Corinthos, Caitlin McMullen, intend to say that Michael abandoned his children for months. Of course, he was actually recovering from third-degree burns in a German clinic, not avoiding his kids intentionally. Carly wants Curtis to use Aurora's media to expose Drew as the con artist that he actually is. Curtis would love to do that, but his hands are tied because Drew is blackmailing his wife, Portia Robinson, Brooke Kerr. Make sure to check out our next week GH spoilers here. Carly eventually leaves, and on cue, Portia arrives. She decided to tell him that she is responsible for drugging Drew with ketamine and hiring Jacinda, the sex worker, to help stage what should have been a career-ending scene. Tracy Quartermain, Jane Elliott, was arrested because Drew framed her by planting the drug in her car. Curtis thinks that if they can find Jacinda, then they might be able to still bury Drew. Sasha Corbin, Sophia Matson, and Michael share a moment when she feels their baby kicking, and she asks if he wants to feel it too. Michael lights up when they discuss anything at all about the child that Sasha claims to want to raise alone. He tells her that he has custody court and asks Sasha if she can watch Wiley and Amelia while he is gone. She explains that she can't because Rick Hurst, has called her as a witness. They discuss the possibility of being caught, but they both believe that everyone believes that Jason Morgan, Steve Burton, is the father of Sasha's baby. Sasha then takes the kids as Michael talks to Carly for a few minutes about everything. Emma Drake, Braden Bruner, wakes up alone in a cabin and panics when she realizes that Gio Palmieri, Giovanni Mazza, is gone. He then walks in the door with breakfast for both of them. He tells her that he would never leave her now, because she's the only one that he trusts right now. Gio's phone is loaded with missed calls and messages from people that he considers his fake family. Gio now suspects that Sonny Corinthos, Maurice Bernard, knew the truth, and he is trying to piece together how he feels about everyone else. He is mad at Camila, the woman who was his mother, and Emma interrupts him to support her. She believes that Gio saved Camila's life after her husband died. He gave her a reason to keep going, and her love for him was very real. As they talk, Gio realizes that he needs to return to Port Charles for answers. Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Grawn, called Christina Corinthos, Kate Mancy, and Lucky Spencer, Jonathan Jackson, in for a meeting to figure out a strategy. She wants to know absolutely everything that happened on the night of Rick's accident. For a moment, she thought that no one could place Christina at the scene of the crime. But then she realized that she would be on police body cam footage. Alexis also cringes when Christina admits that she told Dante Falconeri, Dominic Zamprogna, that she had been on the scene. They need to figure out where Rick's car has been hidden because it proves that the brake lines were cut. Alexis also tells Christina to stop being impulsive and to stay as far away from this case as possible. After they leave, Laura Collins, Jeannie Francis, visits Alexis and says that she is very worried about Ace's trust fund because it is missing about $10 million. Elizabeth Baldwin, Rebecca Herbst, is still nursing a broken leg, but she hasn't been forgotten. First, Rick stops by to bring her dragonberry juice and a treat. Laura also stopped by just in time to question Rick's motives and if a reconciliation is on his mind. Their conversation then turns to Liz and Lucky. Laura says that Lucky still loves Liz, which she believes, but she isn't sure if they can make it again as a couple. Liz thinks Lucky is great at saving her, but not a fan of the tedious day-to-day stuff that is so important. After Laura leaves, Lucky arrives and shares that he met with an attorney about Liz and Rick's accident. He admits that he knows more about the crash than she does. Ava Jerome, Maura West, stops by Nina Reeves, Cynthia Watro's office for an important update. Nina tells her that she thinks that she can finally help Willow to get custody of her kids, but she's not going to do it. She explains that she has solid reasons to believe that Michael is actually the father of Sasha's baby, meaning that he cheated first, but she can't tell anyone. First of all, she genuinely loves Sasha and is so happy that she is getting another chance to be a mom. Second of all, Nina realizes that if Willow gets custody, she will never leave Drew. Instead, she'll probably move to DC with him. So, while Nina could drop a bombshell, she actually believes it's better to let Willow take the fall for the greater good. As they talk, Rick arrives to see if Nina is ready to testify. Ava leaves, and Nina is a bit apprehensive, so Rick asks point blank if she has any new information to share. Lois Cerullo, Rena Sofer, overhears Brooklyn Quartermain, Amanda Seton, taking a call from Anna Devane, Finola Hughes, who tells her that Gio is safe and with Emma. She thinks that this is the perfect time to attempt to talk to her furious daughter. She asks BLQ a question about Gio and is told to mind her own business. Lois keeps defending herself and her actions, but Brooklyn is having none of it. She agreed to a closed adoption, and by doing something totally different, Lois robbed her of the chance to make decisions as a mother. In the end, Brooklyn says that Gio wants nothing to do with her, and now she wants nothing to do with her. Gloria, Ellen Travolta, appears out of thin air and begins yelling at BLQ, telling her not to speak to her mother that way. Port Charles never sleeps, and today was no exception. Emotions ran high, loyalties were tested, and secrets crept closer to the light. As the sun rose on this dramatic day, it found Carly Corinthos pacing the floor of Kelly's, her mind racing with worry. Meanwhile, across town, Nina Reeves made a fateful decision that could change the course of many lives, especially Willow's. And just when the dust seemed ready to settle, a new storm blew in. Gloria Cerullo returned to town, and with her came chaos, charm, and perhaps a few long-buried truths. Carly's in over her head. Carly's pride has been her armor, but today, that armor began to crack. Inside the familiar comfort of Kelly's, Carly was anything but comforted. Coffee cup in hand, untouched and growing cold, she stared out the window as if answers might appear in the steam of the city. Donna was at school, and Michael hadn't returned her calls. Sonny was still wrapped up in his own mess with Ava, and Jason. Well, Jason was keeping his distance. She was used to being the fixer, the one people came to. But with Drew gone, the SEC breathing down her neck, and her financial resources dwindling, the empire she fought so hard to keep together was beginning to crumble beneath her. Olivia swung by trying to check in. "You've got that look?" Olivia said, slipping into the seat across from her. "The I'm fine but everything's on fire look. What's going on?" Carly forced a smile. "Just life. You know, same circus, new clowns." But Olivia wasn't buying it. She gently pressed Carly, offering help, whether it be money, contacts, or even just a sounding board. Carly, stubborn as ever, brushed it off. But as Olivia left, she said something that lingered. "You've always carried everyone else. Maybe it's time to let someone carry you for once." Carly didn't answer, but her silence spoke volumes. Nina says no. Again. Meanwhile, over at the Metro Court, Nina Reeves was staring down the consequences of her own bitterness. Willow's health had taken a dip again. Nothing life-threatening yet, but enough to rattle Michael. The stem cell transplant had saved her life, but recovery had been rocky. Stress wasn't helping, and neither was the underlying tension that buzzed in the Corinthos family like an electric wire. Michael, desperate for peace for Willow's sake, had come to Nina, not as her enemy, but as a father and a husband. He asked her, calmly and with dignity, to consider dropping her vendetta, or at least stop fueling the SEC inquiry. Drew had taken the fall, but everyone in the family knew the case wasn't fully closed. Nina listened. Her eyes misted at the mention of Willow, the daughter she'd only recently begun to bond with, who was still reluctant to fully let her in. "I want to help her," Nina said softly. "But Carly," Michael cut her off. "This isn't about Carly. It's about Willow. She needs peace. That means less stress, not more." But Nina's fear spoke louder than her heart. "I've already done damage I can't undo," she said, her voice cracking. "I'm not sure anything I say now can help." Michael left, disappointed but unsurprised. Later, Nina found herself at the hospital, hovering just outside Willow's room, watching her sleep. She couldn't bring herself to go in. Guilt twisted inside her, but instead of facing it, she walked away. Nina Reeves had the power to save her daughter, emotionally, if not physically, but she wasn't ready to surrender the last thread of control she held over Carly. And that, perhaps, would cost her everything. Willow's quiet strength. Willow, fragile but resolute, had been doing her best to stay out of the war zone that was her family. She focused on her children, her classes, and her recovery. But she wasn't blind to the tension between Michael and Nina. She could sense it like a storm brewing on the edge of her consciousness. When Michael returned from the meeting with Nina, she didn't need to ask. She said no, he confirmed, quietly. Willow sighed. "I didn't expect her to change overnight." Michael sat beside her, wrapping his hand around hers. "She loves you," he said. "In her own complicated way." "I know," Willow replied. "But love without accountability isn't really love, is it?" Her words hung in the air, clear and devastating. Gloria returns, with luggage and laughter, just when things couldn't get messier in Port Charles. In walked Gloria Cerullo, decked out in a leopard print trench coat, wheeling a suitcase the size of a Buick and talking at full volume on her cell phone. "Of course I'm back in town, Angie. You think I'd miss all the family drama? I've got front row seats and a bottle of Chianti." She swept into the Quartermain mansion like she owned it, much to the shock of Lois, who was enjoying a rare moment of peace. "Ma? What are you doing here?" Gloria hugged her daughter hard. "Lois, you look like a star. And Brooklyn, my granddaughter, the beauty queen. You get more gorgeous every time I blink." Brooklyn laughed despite herself. "Nona, this is a surprise." "Oh, honey, surprises keep you young. And I heard about all the wedding buzz. You think I'd miss helping plan my granddaughter's big day? Forget about it." Of course, Gloria's definition of help usually involved taking over, causing mild chaos, and charming everyone in her path. But beneath her loud exterior, Gloria had a reason for being there beyond wedding bells. Something she wasn't ready to share just yet. Something that might involve an old flame and a secret from her past. Jason keeps his distance elsewhere. Jason Morgan lingered on the outskirts of it all. He'd been back in Port Charles for weeks now, but still felt like a ghost among the living. Every room he walked into, conversations stopped, eyes followed. Trust hadn't returned as easily as he'd hoped. He watched Carly from afar today. Saw her stress, her weight-bearing silence. He wanted to step in, but she'd been so clear. She needed to handle things her way. But how much longer could she do that without breaking? Final scenes. Fault lines, as the day wound to a close. Storylines. Rippled outward like cracks in a frozen lake. Carly stood alone in her kitchen, staring at a photo of her family. She whispered, "I can't lose everything. Not again." Nina poured a glass of wine, staring at her phone, considering a message she'd written to Willow but hadn't sent. "I want to do better. I just don't know how." She deleted it. Gloria unpacked a mysterious envelope from her suitcase. She looked at a worn photo tucked inside. Time to make things right, she said to herself. Willow opened her journal and wrote, I have to protect my peace, even if it means cutting ties. And Jason. He stood at the pier, watching the water, haunted by the weight of all he hadn't said. Looking ahead, Port Charles is always a web of secrets, regrets, and second chances. Carly may be on the verge of collapse, but she's never down for long. Nina's refusal to help Willow may finally push mother and daughter past the point of no return. Gloria's arrival brings light and laughter, but also unfinished business. And somewhere in the shadows, Jason waits, torn between duty and desire. May 30th wasn't a day of explosions, but of shifting ground. And when the ground moves in Port Charles, it's only a matter of time before the whole city shakes. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our GH News 24 YouTube channel for more update news.